Queen Bitterblue never meant to tell so many people so many lies. It all began with the High Court case about the madman and the watermelons. The man in question, named Ivan, lived along the River Dell in an eastern section of the city near the merchant docks. To one side of his house resided a cutter and engraver of gravestones, and to the other side was a neighbour's watermelon patch. Ivan had contrived somehow in the dark of night to replace every watermelon in the watermelon patch with a gravestone, and every gravestone in the engraver's lot with a watermelon. He'd then shoved cryptic instructions under each neighbour's door with the intention of setting each on a scavenger hunt to find his missing items, a move useless in one case and unnecessary in the other. As the watermelon grower could not read and the gravestone carver could see her gravestones from her doorstep quite plainly, planted in the watermelon patch 2 lots down. Both had guessed the culprit immediately, for Ivan's antics were not uncommon. Only a month ago, Ivan had stolen a neighbour's cow and perched her atop yet another neighbour's candle shop, where she mooed mournfully until someone climbed the roof to milk her, and where she was compelled to live for several days, the kingdom's most elevated and probably most mystified cow, while the few literate neighbours on the street worked through Ivan's cryptic clues for how to build the rope and pulley device to bring her down. Ivan was an engineer by trade. Ivan was, in fact, the engineer who designed, during Leck's reign, the 3 city bridges. Sitting at the high table of the High Court, Bitterblue was a trifle annoyed with her advisers, whose job it was to decide what court cases were worth the Queen's time. It seemed to her that they were always doing this, sending her to preside over the kingdom's silliest business, then whisking her back to her office the moment something juicy cropped up. "This seems like a straightforward nuisance complaint, doesn't it?" she said to the 4 men to her left and the 4 to her right, the 8 judges who supported her when she was present at this table and handled the proceedings themselves when she was not. "If so, I'll leave it to you."
"Bones," said Judge Quall at her right elbow.
"What?"
Judge Quall glared at Bitterblue, then glared at the parties on the floor awaiting trial. "Anyone who mentions bones in the course of this trial will be fined," he said sternly. "I don't even want to hear mention of the word. Understood?"
"Lord Quall," said Bitterblue, scrutinizing him through narrowed eyes. "What on earth are you talking about?"
"In a recent divorce trial, Lady Queen," said Quall, "the defendant kept mumbling about bones for no reason, like a man off his head, and I will not sit through that again. It was distressing."
"But you often judge murder trials. Surely you're accustomed to talk of bones."
"This is a trial about watermelons. Watermelons are invertebrate creatures," cried Quall.
"Yes, all right," said Bitterblue, rubbing her face, trying to rub away her incredulous expression. "No talk of—" Quall flinched. "Bones," finished Bitterblue in her own mind. "Everyone is mad. In addition to the findings of my associates," she said, standing to go, "the people on Ivan Street near the merchant docks who cannot read shall be taught to do so at the court's expense. Is that understood?" Her words were met with a silence so profound that it startled her. Her judges peered at her in alarm. She ran through her words again. The people shall be taught to read. Surely there was nothing so strange in that.
"It is in your power to make such a declaration," said Quall. "Lady Queen."
He spoke with an implication in every syllable that she'd done something ridiculous. And why should he be so condescending? She knew perfectly well that it was within her power, just as she knew it was within her power to remove any judge she felt like removing from the service of this court. The watermelon grower was also staring at her with an expression of sheerest confusion. Beyond him, a scattering of amused faces brought the heat crawling up Bitterblue's neck. How typical of this court for everyone else to act mad, and then, when I've behaved in a perfectly reasonable manner, compel me to feel as if I were the mad one.